Welcome to the Mildura Weekly and our Mayoral Minute. And joining me today is Councillor Jason Modica, Mildura's new Mayor. Jason, welcome to the studio.
Thanks very much, John. Appreciate the invitation.
You were elected back in November as our Mayor, and congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Coming to office this time, a very challenging year last year, and this year has started off fairly challenging as well with COVID. How are you seeing the situation in town, and what do you think the future holds for Mildura?
I do think there's a bright future, but to try and wrap our heads around how difficult COVID is going to be to overcome is interesting. There's obviously the financial pressures that some people have incurred, but also the emotional position of people that haven't been able to do what they've done previously. You know, it's the biggest economic downturn in 60 or 70 years. So to make sure we support the community and businesses, but also, you know, checking in on your neighbour and checking in on the business across the road, so we actually do think about each other and try and lift the spirits of the town, particularly for those who've had the harder time.
Yeah, of course, local traders, it's affected all businesses, but they're very resilient nonetheless, and they always put on a cheery face. I've done a lot of stories, and yes, there's been some heartache, but they always bounce back, and this last lockdown I think has probably taken its toll on a few people, but I'm always amazed at the resilience of our community.
Look, I think anyone who has a business knows that they have to get up and put on the brave face, even amongst the most difficult of circumstances. But from my personal anecdotes, the people who have changed their businesses very quickly through last year, it's been phenomenal. You know, going from sit-down meals to takeaway or offering different services, and you take your hat off to people that are creative and able to put that into place. The last lockdown was really damaging psychologically, I think, because I think a lot of people thought we're out of it. And I think the federal and state governments need to look at the nuances of how you close a community down, particularly border communities, because we don't identify the river as a border. It's actually what unites us. It's not what pushes us apart. So big questions to answer there for the future.
Indeed. Council has a lot on its agenda, and with the CBD master plan and a whole lot of things coming up, particularly the further development of the Riverfront, and particularly the Powerhouse precinct, which sounds exciting. How's that progressing?
It's progressed really well, and in a really robust way, which is what we're after. The plan went out for public consultation and we got a lot of support. I love the idea of the Riverfront because it is actually a smaller version of what Mildura is going through itself. Like prior to the Langtree crossing, from the Grand Hotel down to the Riverfront and the Rowing Club, you couldn't get across there prior to the end of 2016, and now you've got this lovely lateral crossover into the CBD. The Powerhouse to engage that beautiful old hulking building, and what we'll eventually put there, and engaging the businesses are there that are phenomenal. Remembering that the first written plan I've seen of a re-engaged riverfront is from the year 2000. So there's that gentle move through time, strategic planning, engaging with community consultation and with traders and other businesses. It has taken a long time, and we're still only about, I think, a third or a quarter of the way through. There's more of the Riverfront master plan to come to fruition.
Yeah, no, I think it's absolutely brilliant what's happened down there.
Well, just to comment on that, the use of that strip of river from Apex Park to the bridge is phenomenal, and that engagement, making that available for people and making it realise that it's the front end of town, it's been phenomenal.
And just briefly, a lot of issues facing any community, but Mildura's no exception. I suppose, what are the key issues on your agenda, if you like, that while you're Mayor, you'd like to address?
Look, I think it's about understanding our positives, but being really fair about the criticism that comes through. We've always been a community based on agriculture and horticulture. I believe the fresh fruit guys are having a bit of a hard time, quite a lot to pick your fruit, and the export markets have closed up. China's closed its doors in some ways. People are working through that, so we need to be considerate of that. The resource of water has always been important for me. I think that's a given. It's just how it unfolds in the future if there is lower intakes into the system, water intakes. But it's across the board. It's bringing that money, our own, from council, state and federal, which we've been lucky to receive a lot in the last 3 or 4 years, and just being aware of those industries that give us that little bit of, give us that support to have sustained that 1% growth since 1980. Like, people, if you really reflect on how much we've grown since 1980 to now, it's phenomenal, and we could project that out for another 20 years.
Indeed. Well, look, always good to catch up with you. It's been a while because COVID put us off air, as it were, and we're looking forward to meeting with you regularly. And thank you again for coming in today.
Thanks, John. A pleasure to be in here.
And be sure to get all your news at milduraweekly.com.au and of course in the Mildura Weekly newspaper every Friday.